$500 every month, gone. That is what is about to happen to the retirement savings 71 million Americans have spent their entire working lives building. And the government has known it was coming for 40 years. They just never told you. On June 9th, 2 days ago, the Social Security Administration released its annual trustees report. The headline, "The Retirement Trust Fund will be completely gone by 2032, 6 years from now. And when that happens, if Congress does nothing, your benefits get cut automatically by 22%. No vote, no appeal, automatic." Most people think they already understand this retirement crisis. They think Social Security is going broke because of demographics. Too many retirees, not enough workers. That part is true, but it is not the whole story. The full story has a villain. Actually, it has several, and none of them are retirees. What I am going to show you today is how your retirement savings became a political tool, how a law passed last July made the crisis worse on purpose, and why the people making these decisions will never feel the consequences of them. Let me show you exactly what happened to your retirement and who made it happen. Most Americans picture the Social Security Trust Fund as a giant vault somewhere in Washington, full of their retirement savings, decades of payroll taxes, yours and your employers, sitting there, locked away, waiting for you to retire. That vault does not exist. Here is what actually happens when payroll taxes are collected. The money goes straight to the Treasury. The Treasury uses it to pay current retirees, fund government operations, cover whatever it needs, and in exchange, it gives the Social Security Trust Fund a special type of government bond, an IOU. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is publicly documented by the Social Security Administration itself, but almost nobody understands what it means. It means that the trust fund, the thing your entire retirement plan depends on, is essentially the government owing money to itself. For decades, this arrangement worked. From 1983 to 2009, Social Security collected more in payroll taxes than it paid out in benefits every single year. That surplus, $2.8 trillion, was lent to the Treasury and became the trust fund. The IOUs are real. The Treasury will honor them. That is not where the retirement crisis lives. The retirement crisis lives here. Since 2021, Social Security has been spending down those IOUs faster and faster every single year. Benefits are going out. New payroll tax revenue is not keeping up. And when the last IOU is cashed in 2032, there is nothing left to fill the gap. And the gap is not small. This year alone, Social Security will spend $230 billion more than it collects. Every year that number grows. And in 2032, when the IOUs run out, that entire gap comes directly out of your retirement savings. The trustees report identifies 3 specific causes of this retirement crisis getting significantly worse in 2026. Each one matters, and one of them was a deliberate political decision made just 6 months ago. Cause 1: demographics. Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. Current workers fund current retirees. The math only holds if there are enough workers per retiree. In 1960, there were 5 workers for every retiree. Today, fewer than 3. By 2035, projected to fall below 2. Fewer births and lower immigration mean fewer future workers paying in. That demographic shift alone accounts for more than half of this year's deterioration. This is the cause everyone talks about. It is real, but it is also the excuse used to avoid talking about the other two. Cause 2, the One Big Beautiful Bill. On July 4th, 2025, Independence Day, President Trump signed his major tax legislation into law. Inside that bill was a new $6,000 deduction for Americans aged 65 and older. On the surface, a tax break for retirees. Sounds like it protects retirement savings. It does not. Here is what that deduction actually does to Social Security. A portion of Social Security benefits is taxable for higher-income retirees. That tax revenue flows back into the trust fund. The new deduction reduces how much of those benefits are taxable, which means less money flowing back in. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget calculated this single provision reduces trust fund revenue by roughly $30 billion every year, enough to accelerate the retirement crisis by a full year. A law sold as protecting retirement savings actually made them less secure. The actuaries told Congress exactly what would happen. They passed it anyway, because 3, the one almost nobody is covering, is coming up next. And it is the most important structural problem in this entire retirement crisis. Here is a number the Social Security Administration publishes every January. Almost nobody outside of tax professionals pays attention to it. In 2026, that number is $184,500. It is called the taxable earnings cap. And here is what it means for your retirement savings. Every American worker pays 6.2% of their wages into Social Security. Your employer matches it. So 12.4% of your salary goes to fund the retirement system. Every single paycheck. But that 6.2% only applies to the first $184,500 of income per year. Once your earnings cross that number, your Social Security contributions stop for the rest of the year. Think about what this means for how to retire in America today. If you earn $60,000 a year, if you are a teacher, a nurse, a warehouse worker, every single dollar you earn is taxed for Social Security. You pay in all year, every paycheck. But if you are a corporate executive earning $1 million a year, you hit the cap in March. By March 9th of this year, million-dollar earners had already stopped paying Social Security taxes. For the remaining 9 months of 2026, they paid nothing into the retirement system everyone else is counting on. In 1983, the last time Congress seriously reformed Social Security, the wage cap covered 90% of all American earnings. Today, that coverage has fallen to roughly 82%, because the wages of the highest earners have grown far faster than the cap. The Roosevelt Institute found that real earnings above the cap grew 62% between 1983 and 2000 alone. The fix is simple. Raise the cap or remove it entirely. This single change would close the majority of the retirement savings funding gap. A bill called the Medicare and Social Security Fair Share Act proposes applying the tax to incomes above $400,000. Congress has not passed it. The solution is sitting on the table. Nobody is picking it up. What makes this retirement crisis so frustrating and so important, is that we have been here before, exactly here. In 1983, Social Security was weeks away from missing benefit payments. The retirement trust fund was nearly empty. Congress had known for years. They commissioned studies. They formed committees. They did nothing until they had absolutely no choice. In January 1983, a bipartisan commission delivered its recommendations. Within months, a Republican president and a Democratic Congress passed the Social Security Amendments of 1983. The fix included raising the retirement age, taxing benefits for higher income retirees, bringing federal workers into the system, and accelerating payroll tax increases. It worked. Social Security ran a surplus every year from 1983 to 2009. 26 years of retirement stability, built on one moment of political courage. But 1983 was different in three critical ways. First, the federal debt was 35% of GDP. Today, it is over 100%. There is far less room to fix this without pain. Second, the two parties were capable of compromise on retirement planning. That bipartisanship no longer exists. Third, in 1983, the depletion date was months away. Politicians only act when the cliff is right in front of them. In 2026, 2032 still feels far enough away to ignore. The most likely scenario, the one every nonpartisan analyst agrees on, is that Congress will wait. They will let this retirement crisis get close enough to create genuine panic. Then, probably in 2030 or 2031, they will pass something. But every year of delay makes the fix more painful. More tax increases, deeper cuts to retirement savings, or both. And here is the part nobody in Washington will say plainly. The people who will pay for the delay are not the people doing the delaying. Let me make the retirement savings numbers concrete, because percentages are abstract, dollars are not. The average Social Security benefit for a retired American worker in 2026 is $2,081 per month. A 22% cut means $458 less every month. That is $5,496 per year, gone. For 43% of American seniors, Social Security is not a supplement. It is the majority of their income. These are not wealthy retirees with diversified portfolios. These are Americans who worked for 40 years, contributed every paycheck, and are now depending on this money to pay rent, buy food, and cover prescriptions. If you are in retirement planning at 60 right now, running the numbers, calculating what you will need, a 22% cut to your projected Social Security income completely rewrites that calculation. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget ran the state-by-state numbers. In Mississippi, the average cut is $391 per month. In Florida, $462. In Arizona, $449. In Pennsylvania, $467. No state is untouched. The average Social Security benefit is $24,972 per year. Americans thinking about how to retire comfortably spend an average of $50,000 to $60,000 annually on housing, healthcare, food, and transportation. Social Security already only covers roughly half of what retirees actually need. A 22% cut does not tighten retirement savings. It breaks them entirely. But here is what you will not hear on the news. While this retirement crisis deepens, the people accelerating the depletion are completely insulated from it. Executives whose wages go untaxed above $184,500 do not depend on Social Security for retirement. The legislators who passed the One Big Beautiful Bill have federal pensions. The lobbyists who blocked the wage cap increase have 401k matches and stock options. The people making the decisions and the people living with the consequences are not the same people. That is not an opinion. That is arithmetic. Before I give you the final piece, I want to be fair, because this retirement crisis is not simple and not everyone is in the same position. Congress is not ignoring this because they are evil. Most legislators understand the numbers. The problem is structural politics. Older Americans vote in higher numbers than any other demographic. Any politician who proposes cutting benefits or raising the retirement age faces an immediate, organized backlash from the most reliable voting bloc in the country. And raising the wage cap, asking millionaires to contribute more to the retirement system, faces equally powerful resistance from the donors who fund campaigns. So the rational political move, the one made consistently for 40 years, is to do nothing. Acknowledge the retirement crisis. Commission another report. Wait for the next election. Meanwhile, the people who benefit from inaction are not retirees struggling with how to retire on a fixed income. Keeping the cap unchanged while the gap between executive compensation and worker wages widens every year is a deliberate choice. A choice that transfers the burden of this retirement crisis onto the people least able to bear it. 71 million Americans paid into this retirement savings system, every paycheck, for their entire working lives. Nobody told them their retirement savings became an IOU the moment the money was collected. Nobody told them millionaires stopped contributing in March. Nobody told them the law passed last July made the retirement crisis worse on purpose. And nobody is going to fix it before the midterms. You paid in, they spent it, and they never asked you. If this video showed you something the news has not explained clearly, share it with one person who needs to hear it. That is how this channel grows, not through clickbait, through information that actually matters. We post every week. Subscribe if you want to know what is coming next.